Hello, I'm Colleen Gallagher, CEO at Onward and Upward, and you're listening to the Association Insights podcast, where each week we interview association leaders from across the country to hear how they're trying new things, taking big risks, and delivering value for their members. We'll explore the realities of what it means to work in and with associations and bring you the insights and inspiration you need to advance your career and make big changes at your association. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Association Insights podcast. I'm your host, Meghan Henning, and today's episode is the second installment in our July series spotlighting sponsorships, partnerships, and non-dues revenue. I'm joined today by John Buckley, Senior Director of Business Partnerships and Expo Operations at the Infectious Diseases Society of America. With nearly 2 decades of experience in nonprofit operations and event strategy, John brings deep expertise in meeting planning, strategic partnerships, and building experiences that connect and inspire. From leading major conventions to strengthening industry collaborations, he's played a key role in shaping IDSA's events and engagement strategy. And I'm excited to hear more from him today. Welcome, John.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me in that wonderful introduction.
This is great. So one of the things that I've spent most of my life in associations, but on the communications and marketing side. So the partnerships and all of this side is so fascinating to me. And we spoke last week to someone from the American Marketing Association, and she had so many great ideas, thoughts. So I'm super excited to get into this. So you've had real success turning non-dues revenue into a strategic asset at IDSA, especially around IDWeek. Can you walk us through your approach to partnerships and how you think about building value beyond those traditional sponsorships?
To start off with, all our exhibitors and sponsors, we call them industry partners to begin with. And they're just as important to us as the attendees, because they are attendees to our meeting, and both add value. What we've done over the years is we've developed relationships with them, and through bi-weekly calls, through meetings on site, and do this throughout the entire year. And we'll customize packages based on their needs. It's not about, no, you can't do this. It's how can we get to yes? How can we make this work? Within, we also have to take into consideration all the pharma guidelines, the AdvaMed, ACCME, gifts to physicians, but there are ways to tailor things to get their message across, and while still benefiting IDWeek and the association. That I also do is that I would, and they know this from the start, I would never sell them something that I would never buy. And it's something that where you have, in the hospitality industry, if one of the hotel chains is coming to me and they're trying to work with me, I want to be treated I want to treat them the way I want to be treated. I don't nickel and dime on certain things like, oh, you have a penalty of $5,000 on this. No, I'll work with you on that. Or I need to make a cancellations after the deadline. Okay, I'll work with you on that. Constantly, it's a relationship. You got to play the long game. And in the end, it may not work out in that year, but 5 years down the road, it could completely work out. And it benefits everyone.
I love that, because sometimes you think of these different partnerships and it can be a very short term, like success. But I love that you're saying that it is a relationship, and you obviously hope for it to last a long time and be fruitful to both people. So I really like that. And I love the phrase, I would never sell something I would not buy. I think that's great.
I think it's important too to be creative with them. And some of the old stuff doesn't work anymore. And I remember we used to do bags, and I'll tell them, I'll say, look, bag inserts, it produces a lot of trash. I don't want them. I don't want bags. We have enough bags. We have enough bags. You don't need any more. Between that and bottles too.
Which is so true. I can't tell you how many bags I have. But
there are other ways you can do it. I'm one too, where how does value for that industry partner. And a couple of things that we did was we started we know that they want to go to the sessions and I want them. They want to be in the room. They want to learn what our attendees learning. And they would be wearing 2 lanyards. And I said, my gosh, we'll just make one and call it an exhibitor full registration. And you get charged the registration rate and you can still get into the hall. It gives you access pre and post exhibit hall hours. And it really has added a huge value. Plus, business doesn't just take place in the booth. And I know that a lot of rules will say, you can only take business in your booth. I said, no, we have the rescue puppies or we'll have other areas. When you're sitting and talking and making these connections with these people, it's about connections. That's fine. We live in a different world. It's not 1990 anymore. It's 2025.
That's so true. For those who aren't familiar, IDWeek is a huge production. What are some of the gaps or the missing opportunities you were seeing before you started working with an external partner on the promotion fulfillment?
Yeah, the fulfillment side, there's a lot of one-on-one white glove service that needs to take place. It is something that has evolved over the years. And when you're dealing with like regulatory and third parties, you have to make sure you get it right. And it's at 100%. If not, you're giving a discount or you have to comp it out in the end. And so you lose significant money on that asset. And when you're trying to juggle all these other balls, it's hard to focus on the fulfillment piece of it. And it really lasts it depends on the meeting, but in our case, about 6 to 8 months out of the year, that's when the fulfillment, once the asset is sold to its final production. But within that, we're talking can be thousands of emails, and having someone that can just focus primarily on that opens up our ability to not only be creative, but we can also come up with some other thing that say, hey, we know you're doing this. This just fell in our lap. Do you want this piece that would really help enhance your product?
And do you feel like that you get to know your partners so that you're able to offer something like that, right?
Oh.
That type of, I'm going to go back to your comment about the relationships and long-term, knowing that seems to me that if I were one of the partners, that would make me feel like I was being taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. I want to give that level where I'm taking care of them and they know it. And that's how I want to feel. I want to feel like I got a good deal. In the end, even though it may be the company's money, I still want to feel like it's
Absolutely.
I got something good. And I walk away, both parties walk away feeling complete.
Yeah, I love that. So I know that you have worked closely with EMC Outdoor to evolve IDWeek's presence both inside the convention center and across the official hotels. Talk to me about what kind of location-based marketing fit for your goals.
Yeah, I can go back to when it all started, how we got to that level, because you would go to your meeting, be one of the first ones there, and you arrive at baggage claim, and you all of a sudden see an ad for your meeting in the baggage claim. I didn't sell that. Where did that come from? And then in 2018, I remember this vividly, walking out of the Intercon Hotel and leadership, seeing one of our exhibitors billboard on a building outside it. And they said, hey, did you get to do that? And I said, no. And so geofencing is next to impossible in a city when you're doing a citywide. And it's hard to sell the airport or the bus kiosks, or people want to do the cabs or even sleeves at the Starbucks or anything like that. We just don't have the bandwidth. I said, there has to be someone out there that really can do this. And that's where we found EMC. I said, oh my gosh, here it goes. This is great. This is perfect. They are just an extension of our team. And that's how we treat anyone who works with us as another company. You're part of our team, and you can control your brand. You can control the messaging. They're able, and also dealing with the different hotels. We can have upwards to 30 hotels in our block, and hotels have exclusives. Well, there are several hoops, and each hotel has very specific. So not only are you dealing with the production of the item and the fulfillment of from a third party and the company itself, you also have to deal with the hotel and their vendor who they have contracted with. All that is handled, and it serves, all these little things serve as an accoutrement to whatever we sell. So if I know where the digital billboards are going great in the convention center, that we sold those assets, I can say, hey, EMC, here's a lead. This is great. They may want the billboards outside on that building, or that electronic billboards. And I see electronic is definitely the way more and more people can go, because you have more time to produce it, and gives you more ways to get your message out. But it really is, it's something that I value and cherish, because it gives more opportunities for our industry partners.
I think that's great. And again, you found, I guess, for lack of a better word, like you found a gap, and then were able not only to fill it, but also to bring that person on as part of the team, so that your industry providers are getting even more. I think that's great.
There's always a way when you talk to these folks and they go, what about this? I go, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. There's always a solution.
Yeah, I love that. So what kind of feedback have you heard from your sponsors or attendees about the expanded promotional offerings and visibility at IDWeek?
They love it. They love it. And especially our leadership loves it too, because they're like, oh, wait. Oh, yeah. You know that when you got your bag? Yeah, that's us. We got that. Yeah. I initialed it. I approved it. So they love it, but the attendees love it. And then also our industry partners love it. One other thing that we do, which is a little side note too, is we have our priority points, and the more priority points you get, the better placement on the show floor you can get. Well, using EMC and your dollar spend there can help you actually get additional priority points. And so, when one of our industry partners will say, okay, we bought this for X amount of dollars, guess what, guys? You just got 5 extra points for that. What? Yeah. And you just moved up ahead of them. And now you're number 2 or number 1 on the list to get your booth. Oh my gosh. It has its benefits in that way.
It certainly does.
Yeah.
So fulfillment and logistics aren't always the most glamorous part of event planning, but they can make or break an experience. What have you learned about scaling that side of the house, and how has it helped your team focus on higher value work?
Yeah, I go back in the day when it was just me. And I did everything from soup to nuts. I would sell it, fulfill it, send the invoice, and collect payment. And a lot of this, dated myself, but go back to, it was all paper. And so it was a bit easier, but because there's so many hoops and the thousands of emails, to be able to have someone oversee it and really give that attention to it, we can be so much more creative, and things completely change and we may be walking around and see something that we like. Hey, can we implement that at the meeting? In the past, if we were so stuck doing fulfillment, I may be out and about. I'll look at it anyway. I'll be driving and I'll say, oh, or I'll be in a Walmart or something, like, oh, I want to do this. I like how they did this. I'm going to do this on my show floor. I can't implement it because I don't have the bandwidth. But because that happens, now we can constantly be creative, constantly innovate, constantly evolve. And I would say, if you don't evolve, you'll die.
Right.
And so you have to always be willing to make changes, even up to and at post the show.
I think that's really smart too, because I think that, and I feel like I can say this because I did work in associations for a long time, but there's a lot of, this is how we've always done it. And certainly in different aspects of that. But this is one area I really think you can't just do, this is what we've always done.
And if anyone says to me, that's the way we always do it, I go, that's the wrong answer. I hate that answer.
It is. It's a
I go,
task.
there's always a better way. And I go, I may have been doing this for years, but tell me I'm wrong. I want a new way. Let's think about it. There's always a better way to do something.
Yeah, I think that's great. So, what advice would you give to associations looking to expand their non-dues revenue through enhanced visibility offerings, especially those that may not have a big expo floor to work with?
You can always find something to sell. There's always something. There's always a way to develop some type of revenue. If you are offering something, take a hard look at that. Be willing to change. Eliminate the ones that don't sell. Don't even bother. Don't be afraid to be creative and come up with new ones. If they fail, if you don't sell them, try again. There's always next year. Talk to your industry partners. Talk to the folks that who may be interested. Ask them flat out, what do you do? What helps? Oh, you like, I don't know, table tents. Okay, well, that's a bad example, but we'll do table tents. And from the start, less is more. Do a few things really, really, really well, simplify, and grow it from there.
I love that. Because
Yeah.
I don't think that is something most people think. People are like, go big or go home. But
No.
starting small and doing well, again,
Yeah.
goes back to your first point about the long-term success.
It makes a difference. And always cut deals, bundle, do whatever you can. If something's not selling, lower the price. Throw in something else. It's in a lot of cases you could be just selling airtime. So there's always wiggle room to make a deal. And I'll say it again, if it doesn't work, then try again next year. There's always next year.
That's great advice. I really think that's advice that people, our listeners, can probably need to hear just as an update to be creative. I think a lot of times people get nervous about being creative, right? About having something not sell or thinking, what if this is too weird or something like that? But creativity really is probably one of the engines of doing all of this.
Yeah. Use all your experiences in life. And the most random thing, you may be just walking around, you may be at a baseball stadium and say how they do something. Like, I want that. How do I make that happen? How can I implement that? And then run that idea by your industry folks. And they'll say, oh yeah, I like that too. And produce it.
Yeah, I like that. So looking ahead to IDWeek 2025 and beyond, how are you continuing to evolve your revenue and partnership strategy? And what's next in terms of innovation or experimentation?
Oh, we're already started 25 and the buzz for 26. One thing that we're now in a position, which is wonderful, that we have this thing called the ID Exchange, and we bring in all our top supporters, our industry partners, in for 2 days into that city that we're going to be in. Usually we do it in the year that the meeting takes place. This year we're going to do it months earlier, and we're going to do it in this calendar year in November. So we'll bring everyone to Washington, D.C. We walk around the convention center and we show them all the stuff that's available. We'll introduce also that besides this, we also have EMC. We'll have stuff citywide that you can use too. Then they all go back that after the tour, they go back that night. The next morning we come back, and in an NFL draft style forum, we go, okay, you're number one on the clock. What do you want? And they have 2 minutes to decide. And then we just do this into round 1, round 2 for about 20 rounds until the majority of our offerings are sold.
That is such a cool and creative way to do it.
And then we'll take that and then we'll say, okay, now we know you like that. We had a thing where we started that in 2020 when we had to go virtual for 2 years because it was really hard to do a first right of refusal. And so from there, we stopped doing first right of refusal and anyone can pick it up. However, if that company brings that idea to us, then they have first right of refusal for that item until they don't want it anymore. And then it goes into the ID exchange for anyone to pick up. And also what we did this year too for the first time was in 2025, we had a wait list that you could strategically say, I'm going to put my name as number one on the wait list, because things are, even a few minutes ago before this call, something popped up and said, let's try to sell it. Let's try to get it. Let's see what we can do. One deal that we're doing for 25, and this came up last week, where everyone's piggybacking off of the Amazon Prime days from the July 8th to the 11th. So I said, why don't we do that? And so we are going to strategically take items that have not been picked up yet and target them to specific companies and say 50% off. You buy it now. You have the end of the day. If not, it's going back to the regular price. So we'll see how it does. It's a brand new idea. And
I love that.
I'll let you know how it does in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I love that. Plus, I think that not only is it creative, but it's fun. There's definitely an element of the draft-like thing or the draft-like process. Like, how fun is that?
Oh, it is. It's fun. And I'll MC, which I always have a great time doing.
Yeah, I think this is great. Yeah.
It really, and it's grown every year. It gets better. Every year it grows a little bit more. And so having it in DC and having it in Washington, DC, which is local to us, it makes it a little bit easier too and more comfortable because it's in your house.
Yes. Yes. I think this is great. That's great advice. And I think that our listeners are really going to learn a lot on this. So I appreciate you giving your insights and all these creative ideas. I love them. We wrap up every podcast with just a fun version of questions so that our listeners can get to know you. I will begin with, have you gone anywhere fun lately?
Yes. We went in May to Louisville, Kentucky to watch our daughter get her graduation. So she got her master's, her undergrad. She was involved with the baseball team, which is amazing. They've got a great baseball team there, and wasn't able to attend her undergraduate because she was traveling with the team. And so she got her graduate degree from there and went there and had a grand old time there. A lot of fun.
So, yes. Yeah. That's one of my bucket list items. I would like to be able to go to the Derby. I say it every year to my husband. I'm like, I think it would just be so much fun to experience something like that.
Yeah. Was this just before? I don't even know if it was just before the Derby. No, it was after the Derby. This was after the Derby.
Okay. How great.
Yeah.
So what podcasts are you listening to that you'd recommend to our listeners?
Star Talk. I love Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson. I love astrophysics. I don't know why. I guess if I didn't go into conventions, I would have become an astrophysicist.
That's like a
little... I'm kidding. No, the math is way too complex. But he dumbs it down and gets into the string theory and just all this. It's amazing, the birth of the universe. And it's so fascinating. And I can't stop watching those. Or listening to it.
No, because the only thing I would recommend would be like true crime things. So it's totally fine.
I love my Netflix documentaries too. I love those. Yes. I think I've watched them all. I'm waiting for new ones to come up.
I'm with you there. So what's one place in the U.S. you've never been but are dying to go?
Okay, this is a strange one, but Point Roberts, Washington. And I just want to check this out. I think it's so cool. It's a little peninsula that pops out of Canada. And the border, in order to get in and out, you have to go through Canada. And kids who go to school have to cross the border into Canada, then back into the U.S., and then back. So 4 times a day they cross through the border. And
That's
it's
so
little
cool.
Peninsula, a little town up there. And so I want to check that out. I go, who knows? Maybe one day I'll have a house there, but I don't think so.
Sounds good. So finish the sentence. When you see me looking at my phone, it probably means that I'm
looking at my Fitbit checking my steps.
Excellent.
I have it on my watch too.
Yeah. I so appreciate this. Thank you so much, and good luck with IDWeek.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I had a good time.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for today's episode. The Association Insights Podcast, previously known as the Association 100 Podcast, is a production of Onward and Upward Marketing and Communications, where our mission is to make associations and nonprofits the go-to source in their industries through earned media and thought leadership. This podcast is an extension of our newsletter, a bi-monthly collection of best practices, top trends, helpful ideas, and smart strategies delivered straight to your inbox. Have you undertaken a big change at your association? Or do you have some words of wisdom from the trenches of association life? We want to hear from you, and so do our listeners. Drop us a note at info@onwardupward.com. That's info@onwrdupwrd.com. Be sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share with your friends and colleagues. We're available anywhere podcasts are found. Come back next week for more association insights and inspiration. Thanks for tuning in.